Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Doc's Daily. It is a Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day. Friday, the 14th of February. And slower day in college sports today. No NBA, no NHL. So we're just going to be talking a lot of college basketball. We're going to have some quick free plays for today. Not the biggest card, but then we're going to talk some of the biggest games on the board for tomorrow. Each one of us will be taking one of the key games and giving you what you need to know for tomorrow on some advanced lines. And we'll be talking futures for March Madness as far as betting options and some little gems out there. I think it's a wide open year, so we'll talk about all that. But don't forget to get in our best plays. You go to get free $60. Very simple. Go to new customer, free 60 at afterdocsports.com. So docsports.com/free 60 gets you $60 to try us out. And right now, today, you get an extra 14% off if you want to use for existing customers. Let me get to that. Love 14. So 14% off. Go to checkout and type in the promo code area Love 14. That saves you 14% off on all the daily passes today. So instead of $30, you get $30 minus 14%. Quick math, that's what? $1.40 off. That's $4.20 off, right? $4.20 off of $30. So make sure you check that out. It's a good day today to get in on it. College basketball is what you want to get on today because there's no NBA and there's no NHL for anybody out today. All right, so quick like and subscribe. Don't forget, you can get this every day at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Boys, not a bad day yesterday with our free plays. Not the day I wanted as my premium plays, but I hope some of you guys had a little better days. Nick, how did you do yesterday, and what do you got today?
Yesterday, we slipped up in the NBA with the Miami Heat. They just couldn't finish it off as the Dallas Mavericks won that one. Lower volume today. We have a 4-unit college basketball play that's starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But boy, tomorrow we got a full slate of college basketball. I'll have a 7-unit best bet going out tomorrow. I'm looking at 2 plays right now, maybe 3, but we're locked and loaded for Saturday here, Greg.
All right, Griffin, what do you got today, and how'd you do yesterday?
For today, I have a 7-unit best bet when it comes to college hoops. I'm currently on a 6-0 run in my last 3 days. I'm up $2,800 in the last 3 days. So been pretty on fire when it comes to the hardwood. Yesterday, I had a 7-unit winner with Texas Arlington. Ended up cashing that in a thrilling OT victory. So rolling into today, and on top of that, I had Georgia State as well. They absolutely annihilated them. So cash that as well. 2-0 day yesterday. I did drop my NBA 7-unit best bet. Obviously, there's no NBA today. So we're on the college hoop side of things strictly today. I have 3 plays going out, including a 7-unit best bet. That play goes off tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm all over the hardwood today, Craig, as well as I have 1 4-unit soccer play. And I believe that play goes off at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So that is my full slate going into today.
Yeah, so if you want to get on the soccer, get in on it now. Go use that promo code LOVE14 to get you 14% off his early play, or even if you want those college basketball play. Robert, not a big card today. I know you. I know tomorrow you're going to probably have like a 20-pack, 18, 20 games. And, I mean, tomorrow is an absolute, maybe the best card of the year.
I'm probably, honestly, after what happened last Saturday, I think I'm going to dial it back a little bit, really. And just looking at the numbers, this is just that weird in-between season. Like, I like to call it like all of a sudden experts. Like the Super Bowl ends, and now all of a sudden everybody becomes college basketball experts, right? Not talking about you guys. I'm talking about bettors, right?
Yeah.
Like guys that haven't paid as much attention to college basketball. As soon as football ends, now they're all in, and it just kind of floods the system. The lines get a little bit tighter. So I will have a 7-unit play. Won't have as big a card with as many units going in. I've had 3 straight winning days this week with a little more truncated style. So I'm just going to keep whittling away.
What if something like that, sometimes you catch fire on something like, okay, I dial back, and sometimes you push a little more, and it's like you just keep doing what you're doing as a handicapper, because when you're riding something good, why change what's working? I'm going to have a huge card tomorrow for me in college basketball. Usually I'm 2 to 3 plays on college hoops on Saturdays and Sundays. Tomorrow I'll probably have 3, maybe 4. I'm looking at one other line. I'm looking at the advanced line. So, those sometimes can come out a little different. And we'll talk about those, some of these advanced lines, kind of where they come from, and maybe how to take advantage of them if you're betting them early or if you're betting them late, we'll cover that after Friday's free picks. So make sure you get in on all that. Of course, use that free 60 if you haven't done so, DocSports.com/free60, or use that 14% off promo code LOVE14. Okay, let's talk college hoops, because that's what we have to talk about today, because the NBA and NHL, I don't know, maybe they don't know how to schedule like around the NFL. To me, you would want to take advantage once the NFL season ends. College basketball Friday night. Nick, tell us what you have on Friday for a free play for everybody.
Yeah, let's go to the Horizon League. We got Wright State and Milwaukee here. Wright State coming off a nice victory on Saturday, and then Milwaukee, they dropped on Saturday on the road to Cleveland State. Both of these teams almost have a week worth of rest coming into this game. Wright State, they on the road this season, they haven't been playing that well. 3-8 on the road here. Milwaukee, on the other hand, they've been playing solid at home, 9-2. Milwaukee comes in averaging 78 points per game. Wright State is just under that at 77 points per game. But what Wright State does really well, they pop threes. They're currently 21st in the country in three-point field goal percentage, almost at that 40% mark. If Wright State knocks down their shots from the perimeter today, it's going to be a lot closer game than people expect. The public is all on Milwaukee here. This Milwaukee team, though, does crash the boards extremely well, especially on the offensive side. They're ranked second in the country right now in offensive rebounds. Wright State must do two things in this game: rebound and shoot from the perimeter here. If they do those two things, I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people expect. Give me Wright State with the points against Milwaukee on the road here tonight, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I always say if you're a good offensive rebounding team, you know what that means? Probably not a very good shooting team, so you better rebound the ball. It's kind of, my old Bearcat teams back when Bob Huggins was coaching, probably before you two were born, but back in the early 2000s, I mean, they rebound the heck out of the ball. Why? Because they could not shoot outside the lane. They just would shoot till they make it, kind of thing. So interesting games, though, today. Griffin, do you have another free play for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I found a very big trap, I believe this to be, and that's UCLA at Indiana. UCLA is playing good basketball right now. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games, and they're coming off a really tough loss to Illinois on Tuesday in an 83-78 final. Indiana, they're right now 15-10 on the year, but they're just 3-7 in their last 10 games. They are coming off a strong win over Michigan State in a 71-67 final in their most recent matchup. This will be UCLA's second consecutive road game in the Midwest after dealing with Illinois. So we have to expect heavy uncomfort heading into this matchup. This team's 4 to 5 hour plane ride back away from home. UCLA, they also struggle on the road with a record of 3-4, while Indiana is a stout 11-3 at home this season. In my eyes, as I said, guys, this is a trap game. The market is begging you to be all over Indiana here at home. And they set this line as a pick-em matchup with UCLA laying 1.5 points. UCLA, they currently rank 61st across offensive ratings and 27th across defensive ratings. Indiana, on the other hand, they're 132nd in offensive points per game in the nation, and they do not move at a fast pace. I believe UCLA is going to come in tonight and leave it all on the table before they head back home for a 3-game homestand. So in this matchup, give me UCLA on the money line, shave the points, take them to win it straight up at a -130, Craig.
Interesting. I think if I'm right, and you guys, Robert probably would know as much as you guys. I believe Indiana or UCLA hasn't won a game in the mid, when they have to go outside their time zone to the east, especially in conference play. Now, they did stay after that Illinois game. They did stay in the Midwest, so it's not like they have to go time zone, hopping back and forth. So maybe you are right here. Maybe that, but I UCLA, I swore them off. I think it was Michigan they lost to at home, and they played no defense. Then they went on the road. I think it was Maryland, followed up like 2 or 3 days later, and they got stomped, and I liked them in both those games. I swore that team off, and, Mick Cronin's an old Cincinnati coach, my team. He actually coached with me basketball camps back when I played basketball in college, so I would work summer camps with him, so I knew him very well. I was like, I'm swearing this guy off. And then they turned the season around a little bit lately. So maybe we can be back on them here. I'll give them one last chance with you tonight.
Thanks, Craig.
One last chance. So. All right.
Video. I need to see video of you back in your hoops playing days. Now,
right.
I will.
Right.
I will. I actually have a picture. It's in the other room, but next time I'll bring it. I was, and people say, I say slightly back in the day. I was a 3-point shooter. But people see me now and I say, yeah, I played guard in college. And they say, oh, yeah, offensive guard. No, point guard and shooting guard in college. So I actually played Xavier. My first game, I was from Cincinnati, so one of the reasons I went to Marietta College, Division III school, was their first game was going to be against my hometown Xavier, which I actually hate. So I was like, I'm in. So first game, Brian Grant was on that team. Yeah. They had Tyrone. I think it was after Tyrone Hill. So it was Brian Grant. They had two NBA guys. Brian Grant, first play of game, alley-oop dunk. They were yelling, "Start the bus!" First play. It was the record for Xavier, the biggest the most lopsided loss up until like 8 years ago. So it stood for like 20 years. It was like 52-point win. They beat us by, it was we had 4 starting freshmen, so it was a long day. Yeah, but we got paid. We got uniforms that year thanks to that payday from Xavier. So we do appreciate it. But I will have a picture on Monday. I will bring the picture and I'll show you guys.
See, guys, you just gotta ask. Yep.
This is the what I call the worst matchup on the board today as far as against the spread. Northern Kentucky and Green Bay. Green Bay, I mean, they're 9-14-1 against the spread. You think, okay, they got to be one of the worst teams in college basketball. Guess what? Northern Kentucky, 6-17 against the spread. And being from Cincinnati, we have 3 Division I teams, Xavier, Cincinnati, and Northern Kentucky is actually closer to most people because it's just right across the river, and you actually go through Kentucky, get back into Cincinnati. So I've actually seen this Northern Kentucky team play. They're not as bad as what their record really indicates. And a 6.5-point line here, this line should be -9 Northern Kentucky. But because Northern Kentucky's been so terrible against the spread, I think they're like protecting themselves here. Doug Gottlieb, I didn't really love him as the media, Doug Gottlieb, but he was like talking trash about how good he was going to be as a coach. Might be the worst coach and might be the worst team in college basketball so far this year. Maybe Raphael's seen him. I think someone said he was on Media Row last week for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was.
Stuff, which is like, dude, you're terrible. You should be at home trying to figure out what's going on. I'm taking Northern Kentucky minus the 6.5 here. I think it's an absolute gift. They haven't kept one within closer than 9, I think, in the last 10 games.
I looked at that game.
This is a bad team. Northern Kentucky, I think, handles the business on Friday. Don't you think, Robert, this might be the worst team we've seen maybe in a long time, like Green Bay?
This was my free play as well. So I'm with you 100%. Northern Kentucky, first, from their side of it, you're 100% right. This team is not as bad as its record. I don't know if they're just saving themselves for the conference tournament. I really don't know what's going on with them. They brought back 3 starters and then their 6-man from last year. Like Vincent and Robinson are a really good duo. So I've taken it on the chin with Northern Kentucky a bunch. But I agree with you. Gottlieb is an all-time scumbag, just a total loser. I love watching him fail. He is pathetic. They've lost 20 in a row, 100%. Northern Kentucky's won 8 straight in the series. They're 7-1 against the spread. I use this in a teaser just because there was something about the line. I agree with you. It should have been closer to double digits. So I just couldn't pull the trigger on it as a small, 1-unit play. But use it in a teaser, and I hope they get buried again. God, that guy's a scumbag.
I wonder, I don't know where you go if you're him, because obviously the coaching thing isn't working.
He doesn't care, but he doesn't care. He's just going to go back to his media job and leave this program in complete and total disarray. And on the one side, you look at what they're starting, right? They have a lot of freshmen, don't have many transfers. Maybe if you want to be generous, he doesn't mind taking it on the chin this year because he's building the program, right? He's building with youth. He's going to develop this group. But I'm not buying it. I don't think so. I could see him just walking away after this year and then going and ranting and raving about how kids these days just don't have the work ethic that they did
NIL
when I was stealing phone cards and being a douche.
I don't know where you go if you're because this isn't a league that
piss Robert off today, man.
He's just a scumbag. The guy, he really is. He's a huge douchebag.
The bad teams in this league usually have a couple games where they'll pull upsets, because the difference between the top and the bottom of this conference is not like the top and the bottom where you have 5 lottery players. If you're, back in the Kentucky days and when they had things rolling with Calipari and them, this is a conference that the talent's not that, the gap's not that huge. It's a lot closer. It's usually about, veteran guys. The veteran teams usually dominate this league. So towards the end of the year, some of these young teams can, they gain some experience. We haven't seen that. And we haven't seen that with like a glimmer of hope type of game from Green Bay. So we're going to fade them again tonight. All right, more importantly, this time of year, we start looking ahead. So each of us, we're going to have, and I always said, I'll get on my soapbox a little bit. When we're looking at futures, we're a month out, less than a month. 4 weeks, I think we said, is 4 weeks from Tuesday is the play-in games in Dayton, Ohio. So we're less than a month. And we're looking at teams that are going to win the national championship. For me, if I'm outlaying my money more than a week or two on futures, I want to get a big payoff. So for me, that means 12, 15, maybe 18 to 1 in that or higher. So I'm looking at some, outside of the top 4 or 5 teams, basically. I basically throwing them out. Obviously, we know they'll probably have a chance, but I'm looking outside of that. Nick, what is your pick this year when we're looking at a month out? Is there a team maybe outside of, obviously a few that we all know about that can get it done?
Yeah, I think I got a hidden gem right here. Ranked number 8 in the AP top 20. That's Texas A&M under Buzz Williams here. They'll either get the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed in the SEC tournament. But let me talk about Buzz Williams here real quick. Where it all started, Marquette. He was there for 6 years. He took them to 3 Sweet 16s and 1 Elite 8 in 2013. Then he goes to my school, Virginia Tech, in the ACC for 5 years. Out of those 5 years, he took them to the tournament 3 out of those 5 years. He didn't make it the first 2 seasons. He's got his guys in there, and it takes a while to develop the culture that he wants. Let's fast forward here now to Texas A&M. It took him a couple years, but look at the past 2 years. In 2023, he went in first round in the NCAA tournament. 2024, he got the second round in the NCAA tournament. Well, in 2025, this team has only gotten better here. This man is built to coach his players in March. These kids buy into his game plan, and they play unselfish basketball come tournament time. It would not surprise me if Texas A&M goes far in this tournament under Buzz Williams. This future right now for the Texas A&M to win the national championship is 70-1 odds here. I see them making the Sweet 16. You got Buzz Williams here. I would even cash out if they do make it to the Sweet 16, but I'm all over this Texas A&M team and Buzz Williams to make a future bet here this year and run it in this tournament this year, Craig.
Yeah, I mean, I love what Buzz did when he was at Marquette. I wish he would have stayed there. It almost felt like now we've got another. Shaka's kind of the similar guy as far as just a guy that is just on the sideline. It's like, sweating, working. He wants to be out there playing defense. I love teams that play good defense in the NCAA tournament because eventually you have to win games when you're not shooting the ball extremely well. Usually you got to get by 1, maybe 2 games if you're going to win it all with your defense. And I think they can do that. I think they can hang their hat on their offense most games, but their defense is solid. I do like good point guard play. Taylor, right? I think that's their point guard, Robert.
Yes, Wade Taylor. Yep.
Wade Taylor is veteran.
The 4th, maybe Wade Taylor the 4th.
Yeah, I think it is. And I mean, we saw that team without him when they played Kentucky. They just were missing that leader. When they have him, they're a different team. And I think it's a good pick. I think out of the SEC, there's 4 or 5 teams that can win. I think that's the one maybe people are forgetting about a little bit, especially since Florida's been picking it up, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee. That's who most people talk. This is definitely the next best team in the SEC. Griffin, you have a big gem like that?
Yeah, kind of. It's more of a long shot, but Craig, the way that I look at these are definitely bow and arrow shots. It's an investment type of thing because obviously you got your Auburn, you got your Bama, Duke, Florida, Tennessee, Houston. I mean, I could go down the list of all these teams, but any one of those teams could beat each other. So these are selections based on predictions for early cash outs. It's an investment. You let it ride until it starts ascending to the upside and then cash out. Mark Few, phenomenal head coach. Gonzaga to win the national championship, plus 5,500. He's led Zaga to 2 national championship games back in 2017 and back in 2021. Back in 2021, Zaga lost to Baylor in the title game, and that's been all she wrote since then. Mark Few knows how to lead this team in big games, and Zaga, they're no joke. If they get to the Sweet 16 and you sprinkle $100 on this team, you can definitely get a healthy ROI on this one. I like Zaga here as a sniper shot. They're always in the conversation. They play everybody tough, and they're currently second in the West, which is a very winnable conference. Take Gonzaga as an investment sniper shot, sprinkle a little pizza money on them, and I'm not telling you guys to hold on for dear life like they're going to actually win the national championship. Hey, it could happen by all means. But say this team reaches the Sweet 16, somewhere along those lines, and your cash out is there, take it, walk away from it. The return investment is there. So, Craig, my play is taking Zaga plus 5,500 to win the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, there's two ways to play futures, like you said. You play teams like in that first tier. So you're like basically the top 10 teams of the country. And then you hold on that to the very end because the odds are less. And then you take teams like we've given out today that you have these huge, 50 to 1, 75 to 1, that now you take $100 bet and turn it into maybe $300 or $400. You cash out early, $1,000, $3,000 or $4,000. So I think there's good value there. Great point guard play is always something to follow. Nembhard is having a great year. Yeah. If this team was better, I think he would be in for first team All-American status. Unfortunately, since they're kind of they're not bad. I mean, obviously they're still one of the better teams in the country. They're just not like Gonzaga of old, where we're used to them undefeated at this point or 1 or 2 losses. And so thus he's going to probably be, but he is a point guard, even back when he was at Creighton, that can carry a team. I like Nembhard and Gonzaga. Last night, nice not cover for me. We had the St. Mary's. No, not St. Mary's. We had who did they play last night? Oh, San Francisco. San Francisco got the nice easy cover. And I think they won by 11. Never outside of the number. So what do you like here, Robert? Is there a gem that you like in that mid-tier?
Okay, well, first, before I get to that, I just want to answer Rodney Ferguson, who is in the comments. Thank you to all of you that are watching live. You asked about that Nevada-San Jose State game. For me, it's a stay away because I had been riding San Jose State all season, but I think they're like 20-4 against the spread this year, like some astronomical number. And they've gotten there by cashing in games like this. They're 7.5-point underdogs right now. I could see them losing by 5 or 6 points. That's been their thing. They're 20-4 against the spread, and I think they're 11-12 straight up. Like they have a below 500 record. It's absolutely amazing. I'm not gonna bet against that. I think Nevada has the talent to blow them out, but I don't trust them to blow that out. So sometimes the best bets are the ones that you don't make. So I would say just stay away from that, or maybe think about popping either side into a teaser, because I do think it's going to be right around the number.
These Mountain West, the Mountain West, like these home teams are just like underdogs.
Always. Yeah. Look, Missouri Valley used to be like that too. Yeah. You used to not have to handicap the Missouri Valley like 10 years ago. You just take the home team, right? Like laying 4 points, 6 points, 8 points. That's kind of how the Mountain West has
like been. Kansas State, Oregon State last year.
Yeah, right. Exactly. They're playing in the octagon. Let it ride. So I gotta admit, I didn't do the homework on this one. And the reason why is that, like, not to be I'm just very much against college basketball futures. Now, what Nick and Griffin said, I think is really interesting, which it never really enters my thought process, is the cash out. The cash out, to me, that's kind of brilliant, like thinking about futures that way. But when most people come up to me on the street, or they email me, or they ask me, they're like, who do you think is going to win the national championship? I know that they're looking for something to stick into for the duration. And it's a sucker bet. Like futures to win the Super Bowl, to win the national championship in college football and in college basketball, it is an absolute sucker bet. If you do, and I can rant on this for a while, I'm not going to, but all I'm going to say is this: if you were picking a team to win the national championship, you were basically trying to hit a 6-game money line parlay, because that's what they have to win, right? They got to win 6 games in the NCAA tournament. When you compare the payout on a usual 6-game parlay compared to what the books are offering you on Auburn, Duke, all these times, it is a joke. Like, it is absolutely ridiculous. So my best bet is don't make futures plays on teams to win the national championship. You are just pissing your money away. Now, again, if you want to follow Nick and Griffin and be like, who's a team with high odds that I can cash out in the Sweet 16, then I'd say Ole Miss around plus 9,000 and Wisconsin around plus 10,000. They are good teams and good conferences that have shown that they can beat top-tier competition. Neither one of those teams is going to win the national championship. They have zero chance of doing it. But I could see either one of them making a second weekend run and creating that cash-out opportunity.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I don't like betting futures. Like I said, it's got to be at a certain rate. And I'm looking at a cash-out type option, just like the guys talked about. There's 2 teams that I would probably bet on. UConn, because you're looking at a team that was 10-1 to start the year. They're now 40-1. They're a different team when healthy. We saw that. It's a great win. People don't realize how hard it is to win at Creighton. Especially it was on dollar beer night, by the way, which is like impossible. So it was like they were all over Hurley the entire game, and they went in there, and it really wasn't close. They took care of business. The other team is Purdue. I love great guard play. I think they have the best guards, experienced guards in the country. They're not like blow you away at the next level type guards, but as far as college basketball, they get it done. I think both of those teams end up in the Sweet 16. I think both of them you could cash out and at least double your money, maybe a little more if they're playing good. Maybe you wait to the Elite Eight, then you cash out. But you have options then if you play teams in that 30 to 40 to 1, which both of these are in that range. You can cash out on both of them. I think both of them make the Sweet 16 this year. So those are the two that I'd look at. Okay. Most importantly, let's go. We've got 5 minutes, guys. We've got 4 games we're going to talk about. Griffin, let's start with you. Wisconsin-Purdue tomorrow. Yeah. Interesting game. Give us the line and what you like in this one. Or what we predict, the predicted line, by the way.
Predicted line. No, it actually came out at plus 5.5 right now. You can bet it right now at 5.5. And I'm looking at this game. Wisconsin's on a heater right now under Greg Gard. This team's 8-2 in their last 10 games. They've cleaned up 3 straight winners over Northwestern, Indiana, and Iowa. This will be Wisconsin's second consecutive road game before heading back home to play a very tough Fighting Illini club. It's easy to say based on strength of schedule, this will be Wisconsin's hardest task in over 2 months of basketball. Meanwhile, we have a Purdue team that's currently 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're coming off a pissed-off road loss to Michigan on Tuesday in a 75-73 final. Purdue is home for 1 game before they have to deal with both Michigan State and Indiana on the road. Both of these 2 teams, they're pure potency on offense. Neither of these 2 teams, and considered in my eyes on the defensive side, are stout when it comes to Big Ten play. Their defense efficiencies are just not there. Purdue's going to have to play man-D all game long and make Wisconsin beat them from the arc. Wisconsin is currently 22nd from the arc, 36 in points per game offensively, and 16th in true shooting percentage. Despite Purdue being 12-1 at home, Wisconsin has bigger bodies in the paint, they're faster on the break, and they're playing better basketball with 3 consecutive wins. They're carrying momentum. If Wisconsin could shut down Braden Smith from the arc, because that guy is dangerous, there isn't enough depth in my eyes for Purdue to keep up here. This is one of those games in my eyes, Craig, where you don't really look at a point spread because either team could win here. With that being said, I am taking Wisconsin here plus 5.5, although I'm not against them going money line and taking them at plus 190. But to be safe, insurance, take Wisconsin here at plus 5.5 because, Craig, I believe this could be anybody's game.
I'm not surprised that Purdue's good because obviously they had that experience the last few years making these deep runs in the tournament all the way to the championship game last year. The year before, though, they did lose, second team to lose as a 1 seed. So, but we do see experience all over the thing. Wisconsin, when they lost Hepburn to Louisville, I thought this team was really going to have a regression. They have not. Great job by that coaching staff of kind of rebuilding that team. And they're not just a defense, slow it down like we saw of old Wisconsin days. They can score. So it'll be an interesting matchup there. Auburn, Alabama. Robert, you're going to talk about this one. The game of the year, maybe. Game of the year. I mean, they're my top 2 teams to win it all. I think Alabama's slightly better, but, we're going to see. This is like splitting hairs. What do you like in this matchup?
Interesting that you say that because, again, going back to what we were talking about with futures, at DraftKings, they offer a thing to make the Final Four, and Auburn is right around even money right now. That's a futures bet I would make because I actually disagree with you. I think Auburn is the best team that I've seen all season. I think they're the most talented. They're the most physical. I think it's them and Duke, then a little bit of a gap. And then everybody else. I love Auburn in this spot. You mentioned it. It's a rivalry. It's the Iron Bowl of basketball, which really hasn't caught on. Number 1 versus number 2. First time that's happened in the regular season since UCLA and Gonzaga in 2021. And the first time that it's happened in a conference game since Kansas, Oklahoma back in 2016. So it's been 10 years since the number 1 and number 2 have met in conference play. Alabama has won 3 of the last 4 meetings, though. So Nate Oates kind of has had Bruce Pearl's number. From a betting standpoint, I could give you all the numbers about how Alabama's won 7 straight and, their best wins have been on the road and all of this. But from a betting perspective, I don't see a ton of value here. I'd like your guys' opinion to see if you do either, because you basically just have to pick the winner. There's not really a number to worry about like you have in that Wisconsin and Purdue game, which I agree with you, Griffin. I think that's a few too many points there. But is Purdue going to lose twice in 1 week? But back to Auburn, Alabama, I think Auburn's the better team. You can't dismiss the rivalry aspect of it. This is definitely not going to be like a big play situation for me. I think this should be a stay away, sit and watch this game and enjoy the college basketball of it. But, Nick and Griffin, do you guys have anything that you see? Like, do either one of you see value in this? Like,
Robert, I couldn't agree with anything or every single thing you said. I mean, I agree with all of it. There's no value in this matchup. It goes toe to toe. Either one of these two teams could beat each other. You play each other 10 times. One of them's going to win 5 out of those 10 times. So it's not something where I'm like, whoa, that's a huge edge. Like you look at San Jose State, 20-4 against the spread this season. That's a game where you could try to find a number and capitalize based off of that number. And a matchup like this, these two teams, 1-2 going head to head, there's no value in a game like that. It could go down to the wire, and it's just not something I'm willing to put my money on.
And Auburn hasn't been great on the road. Like they haven't dominated teams on the road the way that, like Houston has. Like when Houston beats people, they punish them. Yeah, Auburn is kind of skated by, and that's kind of their MO. Alabama shoots a ton of threes. So it's one of those things where just if they're clicking from three, they could win by a blowout. If Auburn is just dominating in the paint, like I expect them to, and Alabama isn't hitting from three, that could be a blowout. So that's the funny thing about this game. Last thing I'll say is it would not surprise me if one of these two teams won by double digits, and it could be either one of them that wins by double digits. So that right there makes it a stay away from me.
It's one of those good games. I will say this, and then we'll move on because we have we're already over 10 minutes. So we're just going to talk an extra 5 minutes.
They love it. People love
it. But I will say this. To me, I love what the career of Bruce Pearl. I mean, what he's done to move up the ranks and do it. He's done it with multiple teams. But the one thing, big game Bruce Pearl isn't what he's really known for. I think Oates is kind of like he kind of gets up for the big games. I kind of think Alabama gets this done. Now they do play again, right? Don't they play again here in like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we're going to see this game twice. It still might be 1 versus 2. If this is the close game, it might be 1 versus 2 again this year. That's how good I think both these teams are.
I'm kind of hoping that Alabama wins this game because then I think Auburn could absolutely bury them
at home. Yeah,
in Auburn. That would be like the best case scenario. It's like a 7-point Alabama win here. They will not win in Auburn.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have a play on Bama. I really like them at home. I like the coaching edge. I think it's just the home court in the SEC has been really good this year. We've seen a bunch of upsets against even good teams. So, Nick, we got an evening game: Kentucky versus Texas. Kentucky's been an up and down team. I mean, they've swept Tennessee this year, but then we've seen them lay eggs. Texas, they're a tournament team, I believe, but this is a game that they could use. What do you like in this matchup?
Yeah, the projected line in this one is around -1 right now for Kentucky. Kentucky's won 2 straight games leading up to this one, just beating Tennessee on Tuesday. Texas, on the other hand, they have lost 3 games in a row here, just dropping to Alabama at home by 23 points. Texas has only won 2 SEC games at home this season, Missouri and Texas A&M. Kentucky has struggled on the road, no question about it. They got blown out by Georgia. They lost to Vanderbilt and Ole Miss on the road. There's no question that Kentucky can lay an egg, but I just don't see this Texas team being able to compete with the offense for Kentucky, as they're ranked 3rd in the country here in points per game. If this is -1 for Kentucky, I'm riding with Kentucky here as we're getting closer to this SEC tournament play. And these are the games that Kentucky must win on the road against a Texas team who is just struggling right now. So I would take Kentucky money line over Texas in this free play tonight, Craig, or tomorrow, I should say.
Yeah, what's the Texas freshman, Robert? I really like this kid. I think he's a guy that can carry a team, and he's going to need to.
Yeah, Trey Johnson. It's basically him, the freshman, and then all these senior transfers like Trayvon Mark and Arthur Kalama. And I will say, be careful about this one because Texas they almost beat Auburn and they almost beat Tennessee at home. So they've been knocking on the door. And with Kentucky right now, it's all about injuries. Like, I agree with you, Nick. If Jackson Robinson and Lamont Butler both play and you can get 25 minutes out of both of them, then yeah, Kentucky is a better team and Texas is kind of stunk this year, right? But if Butler doesn't play, Kentucky is not the same team. Jackson Robinson didn't play in the last game. I know they won at Tennessee, but that kind of sets them up for a letdown here. Just that's 2 starters and probably their 2 best players. And if they don't have them on the road, like Texas is just kind of due to knock somebody off, I feel like.
That Butler kid, that was the kid that transferred from San Diego State,
San
right?
Diego State, yep.
And that team really misses him. I mean, that dude can guard. He doesn't really score a ton of points, but he gets the right person gets the ball, and no one scores on him. Like
just a glue guy,
yeah,
that now is averaging the most points that he ever has in his season. Like he does a lot for that team. He's been back the last 2 games, but he's only scored 14 points total. And I think he hasn't played over 22 minutes in either one of those games where he was logging like 30, 35 before. So
he's the key for that team to go for it this year, because he's a guy that they just get into the right offense, and that offense is dangerous. That Kentucky offense, when they're humming and they're hitting their threes, they can beat anybody. And of course, when they're not, they can get beat. But anyway, that's why this year is going to be fun in NCAA tournament. There's a lot of teams like that. All right, last game we're going to look at. I'm going to look at Houston, Arizona. I think it's an absolute great game. I love what Love has done. Speaking of love, what Love has done at Arizona. I mean, the transfer from North Carolina. I thought when he left North Carolina, I was like, "What are you doing, dude?" But I mean, this year he hit that 3-quarter court shot in the upset win. That was against
Iowa State.
Yeah, that was a heck of a game. Since then, they went and won at BYU. No one wins at BYU. That was a very impressive win. I think this is a problem spot. I think this Houston team is the next tier. I think there's top 3 or 4 teams. I think they're like the 5th best team in the country. But I would never want to play them. I mean, they get up in you on defense. And this isn't just a defensive team. They can score points too. I mean, they haven't been covering a lot of points, but that's usually because they're laying, 9, 10, 21, 14, 9.5. Well, last time they laid this low a number, that comeback overtime win against Kansas. I don't think this team is as good as Kansas. I'm going to take Houston minus the 1, minus 1.5, money line, whatever you want to play. I think Houston's just a different level team. I think Arizona's they're a team that could get you to the second weekend, or they could lose first game in the NCAA tournament. And I think you're going to see that in this one. Houston, I think, takes care of business. Robert, do you think this Houston I think they're actually better than last year's team, which I thought there would be no way that was going to happen.
I agree. They're 16-1, and they're I agree with you. They're like the best potential national champion that absolutely nobody is talking about. Yep. They're 16-1 in their last 17 games. Only 2 of those wins have been less than 9 points, and only 3 of them have been less than double digits. Yep. Okay, that's in conference play, in a good conference. Like I said, they are absolutely punishing people when they play them. In Arizona, I don't trust Caleb Love. He's having a great year. He's had some big moments, but he's still, this guy could put up a 3 for 14 tomorrow, especially against Houston's defense. I think this number is a little shorter than where I thought it should be. I think Arizona's getting a lot of love for just the McHale Center being a really tough place to play. I get that, but Houston has proven that they can go on the road and not just beat people, but humiliate them in front of their home crowd. It won't be that bad tomorrow, but if this number stays at like 1.5, 2, Houston's going to be on the card tomorrow. That's for sure.
Like, it was a big letdown spot that they lost last time at Kansas State. They had all those big wins. Everybody still remembers that Iowa State win, but it's like, dude had to hit a 3-quarter cut to send it to overtime. So if they lose that game, what do you think of, what would people be thinking of Arizona? But because they end up hit it and they win, it kind of changes your trajectory.
And I got to give them credit for that Kansas State loss if you can. The Octagon, really tough place to play for a road team. The Arizona was in a perfect letdown spot because of those big wins. Like, I could have seen them going to Kansas State, a place that they are not used to playing, and laying an egg. Kansas State had just beaten Kansas, a lot of momentum. But Arizona, they actually fought back. They got down early, fought back, took the lead late in the second half, and then ended up winning. So, I attribute that to Tommy Lloyd. Again, that guy, like former Gonzaga assistant coach, Tommy Lloyd, that guy knows what he's doing, man. At some point, that guy's going to get a national championship because he really is just a great coach.
I kind of wonder if he continues and has a good year. He's a guy I think would be good in the NBA. I mean, he's really good X's and O's guys. And to me, those are the guys that can move to the next level and be good as well. And I think he's one of them that, or maybe, I mean, there's going to be Indiana jobs open, by the way. Hello, newsflash. I mean, he could be that.
Good transition, by the way. Adam Westbury just asked UCLA or Indiana. I'm going to throw it back to my man Griff, who had great insight in this game. Griffin, why don't you tell Adam who you liked?
UCLA money line. I think this is a trap game, and across the board. I mean, Adam, you missed it. That you want me to give the breakdown, Robert?
No. Just he. I think he's just looking for a winner. You're the hottest one of the three of us in here. You're on the streak right now, so you're the hot handicapper. So.
Oh no, I was caught off guard. Yeah, UCLA money line. It's a trap game. Everybody thinks that Indiana at home, Midwest, UCLA playing back-to-backs in the Midwest. Trap game. They're laying points against a team who's 11-3 at home. No, UCLA all day money line.
Hey, remember, Indiana does have a little less pressure on them now that Mike Woodson, he says I'm retiring at the end of the year. They go on and win the next game and I think they beat Michigan State. When they beat Michigan State, that would have Izzo would have broke the record, right? Or had he just broke the record or something like that. So that's Bob Knight's all-time win record as far as wins in the Big Ten. So that was a big win for Indiana and Mike Woodson. I think Mike Woodson's a good guy. It's just I think the game with the NIL and everything, it's just passed him by.
I also want to say, be careful with that one, just because Indiana is just like Texas tomorrow. They have come close to knocking off some really good teams. Like they almost upset Maryland at home. They almost upset Michigan when they came down into Freedom Hall. Like they
had Maryland beat. They had Maryland beat too.
Yeah, right.
Adam, we're not putting our mortgage on this game.
But Mick Cronin, since he basically called his guys pansies earlier in the year, like they've gone 7-1. So I'm not betting against UCLA right now either.
No, Griffin he just put the title out on the Bentley, and he said UCLA. Here's the title. So you can go all in if you want. Go ahead, right? Go ahead.
No, this is pizza money. It's a freebie, brother.
Remember, what are you two doing for Valentine's Day? Are you just doing Nick? Are you going to take them out to a romantic dinner?
Yeah, actually,
we actually are going out
tonight.
We are.
They're treating it like St. Patrick's Day in Chicago. They're going to go out there. They're like, are
they have some red wine tonight and a nice steak? That's
I was thinking an old-fashioned
this morning.
Instead of the river being green, they're going to paint that river red tonight, boys. So, all right. So you guys, we just talked about how you can get on the best plays, or like what we like as our free plays. But to get on the best plays, very simple. Go to DocSports.com/free60. If you've not got in, that's a way to get $60. You can get Nick's best bet or any of our top plays for tonight, or any of our plays, $30 per sport. So make sure you check that out. Also, don't forget, we've got a special Love 14 for all you existing customers. 14% off. Use Love 14 for the daily packages today. You say 14% off instead of $30. It's $320 off of that, whatever that is, $16.80, I guess. So make sure you check that if my math's right. So make sure you do that, 14% off, and that's good all weekend long. So you can use it many times as you want, both for today, Saturday, and Sunday. Of course, no NBA, no NHL this weekend, so it's all college hoops. So make sure you get in on College Hoops Pass from one of our experts here. Don't forget, though, make sure you like and subscribe. We do thank you for listening and leaving comments. We'll be back again Monday. We'll have Robert back again. His days are Thursday, Friday. You'll see this rest of the three amigos here on all the other days. And we'll have Raphael back on Wednesday. We're still looking for if you want to put in the comments of this video what Raphael's segment should be on Wednesdays. We're looking for a segment name, so put that in the comments. So, all right, guys, have a great day. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you again on Monday.